Oh, yes, indeedy. We're back in the comic book store. This is Source Material Live. I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And if you also heard our boxing show this week, you know that my voice is a little off, a little speech impediment. I've had my wisdom teeth out, so we're going to muddle through this. That's all right. I've got a guest here to drag me through this. He's going to hoist me up on his shoulders and carry me through. The ladies and gentlemen from the Cosmic Treadmill, Mr. Chris Sheehan. How you do, sir?
Hey, and muddle through is about the size of it for this one, isn't it? I come to you today being serenaded by the high school marching band about a half mile away. I don't know if it's if you can hear it over the mic, because this mic picks up everything I don't want it to pick up, and then the things I do want it to pick up, it really doesn't. So there's a good chance that people are hearing the raucous drum beat of I think it's Sunrise Mountain High School playing their marching gear in the morning.
There are definitely moments in what we're going to talk about tonight that could probably use a tuba sound.
This is very true. This is very, very true.
Well, it's the Halloween season, and even though what we were going to talk about over the course of October fell completely apart, we don't just cancel shows, we adjust, we realign. And I always like to, when it's October, I always like to deal in the horror genre. I like to deal with things that deal specifically with Halloween. And, you know, Chris is a lot of fun. You were a lot of fun, Chris. Because
Me?
Yeah, you.
That's not a phrase that usually is said about me.
Because I can pitch you something that's really off the beaten path, and you're like, yeah, man, let's do it.
Oh, totally.
And it doesn't, you know, when people think of comic books, they think of Marvel, they think of DC. There's Image that's out there. But there's a company called Dynamite. And Dynamite has a lot of IPs that are well known. People might not actually buy their comics, so you might not know that they exist. But Dynamite puts a lot of really fun and interesting and off-the-wall stuff out there. One of the properties they own and that they do comic books for is the pinup model Bettie Page. Are you familiar with Bettie Page?
It's funny. Bettie Page, to me, will always be intertwined with comics because I had never heard of her until I got into comics. And I remember, you know, when you're young and you don't have very many comics and you don't have anything that can go on your bookshelves, you look for like anything that's related to comics that could go on a bookshelf, you know, just to make it feel like you're a legitimate collector or a legitimate fan. And I remember seeing the previews catalog on the counter at the comic shop, and previews back in the day. I have one actually right next to me here from 1992. It was $1.50 for a very thick catalog. So I remember thinking I was hot shit, you know, buying this thing. Like I was like an industry insider having this. And so I plunk down my $1.50. I get a previews catalog, and I'm flipping through it, and all of a sudden I see this whole section dedicated to someone named Bettie Page. Had no idea who she was, what she was, if she was like a comic strip from the 50s or 60s, or a real life person, or like an Elvira or something. Didn't know what she was, but I always will link Bettie Page to comics, so it's very interesting to actually read a comic featuring Bettie Page, because it's kind of a full circle moment for me.
Well, in October 24th of 2018, among the rest of the Bettie Page comics, and there's Bettie Page Unbound, there's all kinds of stuff out there featuring Bettie Page. Dynamite produced a one-shot, a Halloween special one-shot that at the time was $4.99. It's a teen plus, as you might expect. The writer was David Avallone and Leah Williams. Art was Julius Oda and Fernando Ruiz. And it was a 40-page action-adventure one-shot. It featured one story and then like half a story. And Bettie Page is like a secret agent, and she goes on missions. And because this is a Halloween one-shot, these are scary missions. So let's go ahead and talk about that.
Sure.
All right. We begin... our main story here is called Pikmin Supermodel. which was written by David Avallone and art by Julius Oda, color by Ellie Wright, and letters by Taylor Esposito. And it opens with a Lovecraftian type, tentacled, many-eyed, many-toothed monster. This is the secret diary of Bettie Page. And Bettie Page is like, what have I gotten myself into now? So there she is, facing off with this Lovecraftian monster. And so, of course, we have to go back to the beginning, and she's doing some modeling. She's got a cat o' nine tails, almost like Catwoman. And in walks two agents, and they say, hey, we need you to check out this guy. He might be doing some villainy. He might be trying to bring monsters from another dimension into this world. We need you to check it out. All right, so what did you think of the beginning of this so far? Setup.
The beginning was fine. Comic writers, fiction writers in general, can we cool it with the Cthulhu crap, please? I'm so damn over it. I feel like, and this is me projecting for sure, but I think writers think that they're being like smarter than the average bear when they put Lovecraft crap in there. Just too damn much. Maybe 15, 20 years ago when this wasn't when every damn issue of a comic with horror in it didn't have the shuggeth, fucketh, sucketh in it, then that'd be great. But now it's just like every time it's a horror, it's got to be Lovecraft. Can we just get over it?
Yeah, I didn't read much H.P. Lovecraft. And horror is not really my thing, so I don't think I've grown as tired of it. But I get what you're saying. It seems a little overdone.
Way too. It's like it's as tired as zombies are. Just give me a goddamn zombie. I'm so tired of the horrors that you can't comprehend with your eyes. Please stop. Just you're not smarter for writing that. Just give us something we can glom onto.
What do you think of this idea of Bettie Page as like a secret agent?
Oh, I mean, it's as good as any, right? I mean, you got to facilitate her getting into adventures or misadventures, so this is just fine. I don't know how the other Bettie Page comics go, so I don't know if she's always some sort of a secret agent or a liaison or a contracted whatever the hell, but yeah, it works.
So there's some really funny lines in this. It's like, we brought you this in case things get out of hand. A 22, what am I supposed to do with that? Hurt its feelings? And she says, the 22 is for Pickman if he tries any rough stuff. Mind you, this is I think the 50s or the 60s. Yeah. The slip of paper is for the monsters. It's all laid out in the dossier. The dossier explains how I'm supposed to use a pop gun and a slip of paper to stop an invasion from another dimension. All right, so we're several pages into this, and she hasn't even gone on the mission yet.
Yeah.
This is the definition of a breezy read.
Oh, yeah, I mean, and this came with a $5 price tag, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was $5 and has 2 stories in it, and I swear I was done within 10 minutes. It's quick.
So she gets to the house, finally. I don't even know what page we're on, but we're like halfway through this.
We're almost there.
And she finds Mr. Pickman, and she charms her way into his house. And she's looking around. And he says, would you like to see my etchings? No. Would you like to see my studio,
Close.
Betty? Would I? Wow, so this is where the magic happens. It's closer to magic than you might think. And she picks up the Necronomicon, which she doesn't know is the Necronomicon at the time. What's this old book? Is it a Bible? To some, I suppose it is. Ugh. It was called the Necronomicon. And it was a kind of how-to book on how to end all life on Earth. Small potatoes, right? So she's narrating the story as she's going through it. Okay, so she's like, can I touch it? And with her back turned, he's painting some sort of symbol on the inside of his jacket, Mr. Pickman is.
Yeah, like a dagger or something, yeah.
Why don't you dream up the things you paint at all? You paint at all, do you? Do you copy them out of this funny old book? And he just loses his patience with her. No! And now he's got a knife.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Richard, I didn't mean to insult you. I am a great artist, but no one understands my work. No one understands me.
It's like I'm talking here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the line out of Life of Agony right there. they, they think I'm a fantasist like Dore or a surrealist like Dali, but I am the greatest realist of my generation. Mankind doesn't know what's real yet. All right, so we're several pages into this, confrontation, and we haven't even seen the monster yet.
Nope.
But you didn't come here to talk art, did you, Betty? Someone sent you. Someone as that colored gal last week. Who sent you?
Yes, he's a racist. We forgot to mention that.
Yeah, they can't send the black agent because he's racist. And she pulls the gun on him, the 22, and she says, "None of your beeswax, mister." And they fight. And she gets the drop on him. She gets the, hands in the air. And then he starts to say a spell.
Huggeth, sucketh, fucketh, yeah.
Yeah. Yin and Yang, Yang Sothoth, and Healy Feely, Gibbery Gibbery, and she doesn't shoot the guy at all. She just watches him cast a spell.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "Stop it. Whatever you're doing, stop it." And he keeps going. She doesn't work. It's very ineffective.
Yes.
And she says, "Now you'll see." See? What am I seeing? And there it is, your Lovecraftian monster.
Mm-hmm.
Yog Sothoth. What now? Yes.
Yog Sothoth.
He comes, he who is the gate and the guardian of the gate, the door and the silver key to the door, Yog Sothoth. All right, so it grabs Betty. And she's trying to figure out what to do with this thing grabbing her. She obviously can't shoot it. So it takes her to another dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And the dude says, "Oh, great and powerful Yog Sothoth." And this thing is like an old Jewish man.
Yeah.
He's like, 4 times.
Oh, you bothered me. You keep... Oh, come on, stop it.
4 times now. 4 times you have said my name. It is a mighty name. It is not to be spoken lightly, yet you have said it 4 times. You woke me. You summoned the gate. You opened the gate. Who told you to open my gate?
Merchandising.
Get off my lawn. You woke the gate. And they're just like staring at this thing, and he's like trying to reason with it, and he's like, "No, fuck off. Fuck right off." And then he's like, "My lord, please forgive." What did you think was going to happen when you woke this thing up?
Yeah, no doubt, right?
Like, I don't know, what was the end game here?
This is definitely a one-way trip into something's stomach. There's no other way around this.
The Shoggoth comes for you, mortal. This was always your fate. No! I'm so surprised! I'm so surprised the monster from another dimension ate me!
How did this not work out the way I thought it would?
Chris, I don't know about you, but my mother always taught me that leave things from another dimension alone.
Oh yeah, totally. That's like one of the first things your mom tells you.
Yeah. Don't eat things off the ground.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Don't take things from strangers. Leave things.
Don't get into those brown cars. Yeah.
Yeah, and don't wake things up from another dimension.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so he gets eaten, and Bettie Page just kind of watches helplessly. And then she's like, "No one deserves to die like that." So now he wants to talk to her, our Shagathagach. Now what are we going to do with you? The knowledge of this place and our kind has been kept from all of your folk for thousands of years, all but the mad. Are you mad, little mouse? And here's where Bettie Page goes suddenly southern. Like, I know I think that's where she's from, the South, but she hadn't been like corn fed up to this point. Now
she goes full rogue here.
Yeah. My mama didn't raise no cream puffs, Cajon. Sorry, no, that's Gambit. King Kong. I've seen scarier things in the Museum of Natural History. So now she's like taunting it.
Mm-hmm.
Ha ha, you are a defiant little mouse to the end. But this is the end. Have you anything to say for yourself? I surely do, sir. I surely do. And then the little see, this is very good writing. They set something up and
They're
pays
paying
off
it off.
later. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the little slip of paper that came with the 22, in case Mr. Pickard did any rough stuff, she uses the spell that was on the little piece of paper, and he says, "The curse! No! Tickly, tickly!" Some other gibberish.
Yeah, yeah.
And he throws her back into the other dimension, wrecks the house, and it all goes away.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
And then she turns in the dossier and the mission the mission notes, and they're like, "Good job."
That's it.
Yep. That's the whole story, Chris.
Yeah, surely is. It surely is.
So, what did you think of this first part of our Halloween special, where Bettie Page lays passively until she says a spell and makes the monster go away?
Yeah, this kind of feels like a story that was written in reverse. It's like, hey, I got this really cool idea, And usually if you ever start a thought with, hey, wouldn't it be cool if? The answer is usually no. So she has this really cool idea that we're going to read this spell, but we just have to get there. So we do so writing in reverse, forcing every single step of this story to happen. And it's a breezy story. It's a short story. It's a quick story. But every single step of it is calculated to the point where it's just it's like unflinchingly rigid. It's like a line of Legos that we're following here. It wasn't fun. I didn't care for it. And plus, I might be biased because I'm just so over this Lovecraft crap. But don't know. It just didn't do it for me.
Well, if you like that short story, you'll love this even shorter one.
Oh, boy. Yeah, this is where, I got to this part, and I'm like, oh, okay, so we have, another, 20-page story to read. Nope.
Okay, so this next one, go back to the beginning here, is called Haunting in Hollywood. Plot by Leah Williams, art by Fernando Ruiz, color by Valentina Pinto, and letters by Taylor Esposito. And so, a little ways back, we were doing these combination Looney Tunes meet the DC characters books. And there was a long story, and then they would be followed at the end by different art and a different writer, and it was a shorter story. Mm-hmm. And they were kind of almost like reverse positions. That's kind of what this is. This is like the backup story to this bigger story. So we find Bettie Page going to a Halloween party. And she meets her friend, the agent, who is the African-American woman, at this party. And she's dressed up like a nice cowgirl. Isn't that lovely? Mm-hmm. And what is Bettie Page dressed up as? Well, she's got rotary telephone dials, on her boobs, and a box covering her vagina that says "Dare," and fishnets, and she said, "Don't you get it? I'm a call girl."
Is that a box, or is that supposed to be like a phone book hanging from her crotch?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's not. This is very, very cartoony art, so it's very. The detail just isn't there. We can tell that it's rotary dials on her boobs, but we don't know what's hanging from her nether regions here.
So, all right, now that we've established she's in a silly costume,
mm-hmm.
They go into this party, and it's locked. And they walk in, and immediately the agent is like, what the hell's going on here? And because it's a Halloween party, they don't know if the smoke and everything is supposed to be there for real. Is it part of the ambiance, or is there funny business afoot? And then a werewolf pops out.
I think that's a werewolf.
Some sort, maybe a gargoyle of some sort.
A beast of some sort.
And Bettie Page is like, it's probably another actor. And he growls and snarls at them. And they figure out it's not another actor. And the chase is on. And it's a very, Scooby-Doo, the way it's drawn. It's very, Scooby-Doo, very, goofy chase. So Bettie Page runs into a door, and she nearly falls into a pit of spikes, because that's what we have in our houses.
The spike room. Yeah.
The spike room, yeah.
She should have known not to go into that room.
Yeah. Well, a pit of spikes sure seems like a dirty trick to play on a party guest. What would I have done if you hadn't been there to grab me? We're almost to the end of the story here. And
yeah.
All right, so the gargoyle has them cornered. They shoot at the thing, and they discover, oh, it's just a projection.
It's a hologram, yeah.
So Bettie Page kicks, and they see where it's plugged into. It's behind a door. And Bettie Page kicks the door down, and there's this woman there.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, your invitation said to come alone. And Bettie Page sarcastically says, I didn't think it was mandatory. This is while she's, like, tying this woman up.
Yeah.
And she was like, hey, wait a minute. I've seen you at my auditions at some of my pictures. And she says, and this woman who set this whole thing up, this was all a trap for Bettie, by the way.
Yep.
Some try all. I haven't had a single callback since you came to town. I needed you out of the picture so that I could finally be in them. So I'm going to arrest you for attempted murder because Bettie kept getting acting roles you wanted.
Yep. Yep, she was jealous. She had her Hollywood dreams snatched from her, so she gonna resort to. Was the end goal here for her to impale herself on those spikes? Was that what we were going for? Was that the result?
Well, here's the thing: she's not really a human, because here she says humans really are so stupid, such linear two-dimensional thinking. You see, I had one mission: to infiltrate the mass media made for human enjoyment. But you kept getting in my way, and then a flying saucer appears. And she is beamed up into the flying saucer.
In literally the second to last panel.
Yep. So, all right. So our story here is basically this alien came down, was supposed to make it big in Hollywood as a ruse to get the aliens to infiltrate American life. And Bettie Page is so good that she kept stopping her just by virtue of getting gigs. Mm-hmm. And so the aliens set up this whole Halloween party ruse to kill Bettie Page. But Bettie Page is smarter than the average bear, you see.
She is.
And that's the end of that story. That is the end of our one-shot from 2018. I literally read that, and I was like, really? Is that all? Boy. That can't be all.
It's very, 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 very light. I don't know what the. Oh boy, yeah, this was I gotta say, I think I enjoyed the second story more, but there ain't much to it at all.
All 2 seconds of it?
Yeah, right. Maybe that's why I liked it. I don't know, but yeah, very, very strange.
All right, well,
and just so silly.
Well, not done yet, everybody. Ooh, doggy, no, sir. Because
so nice they did it twice.
Because October 2nd, 2019, they did another Bettie Page Halloween special.
Did they do one this year too?
Not that I could find. I mean, if there's one, if there's one that's brand new that's out there, I haven't seen it, and it's not on any of the pirate sites.
I don't think they did.
Yeah,
you mean the library that you borrow these books from?
Yeah, exactly. The library yard.
The LIE-bury. No, don't see one.
October 2nd, 2019, something evil is lurking in the dark woods of upstate New York and hunting the student bodies, at exclusive and isolated Annandale College. Model agent Bettie Page investigates the Annandale horror and finds herself enrolled in Werewolf 101 for extra credit. Plus, Betty and Lissa go to the drive-in with a bunch of intergalactic gatecrashers. Oh, yeah. That story.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Well, it is highly forgettable.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So our first story here is the Annandale Horror, written by David Avalon, art by Roy Allen Martinez, color by Sal Alia, and letters by Taylor Esposito. And again, we start off with Bettie Page in trouble.
Yeah. Silver Agey, doing this full splash page for the opening from somewhere deeper into the story. So,
yep, she's being pursued by a werewolf.
Yeah,
she's kind of wearing like a very similar outfit to the gal in the Michael Jackson Thriller.
I wonder if that's got to be by design, right?
All right, so once again, we start off with she's in mid action sequence, and she's like, "Ugh, how did I get to this place?"
Yeah.
So then we have a flashback.
Mm-hmm.
And she's at a bar, and some guy's trying to pick her up, and of course, it's not going to go well for him. And she says, "Hey, ever heard of judo hot pants?" And this white man in the 50s says, "What is that, a new dance?" And she throws him and kicks him. That's what she does.
That is judo. And I don't think there's anything else to it.
And she disrupts the whole bar, and someone yells out, "My chicken a la king!"
The true tragedy of this story.
Yes, sir. All right, so then the male agent from the previous issue walks in and says, "Let's get out of here." And this is where, this is the part of the story where he's going to give her his the mission.
Yeah, this is like that dude with the mustache who shows up in Inspector Gadget to give him the slip of paper. This is that scene.
And despite the fact that Betty apparently is a trained agent and she's supposed to go on missions, she was reticent in the first one, and she's reticent now to want to do this. She's like, "But why me?"
Exactly, that's true.
Like, I hired you for a job. Okay, but why do you, okay, I'll accept the job. All right, well, here's what you have to do. Why do I have to do that?
Well, yeah, why would I do that? Yeah.
It's really weird. It feels like the writers, like, well, that's what you're supposed to do, is have a reluctant hero, but you don't have to have one in a situation where the person volunteered to be a hero. It's
true. Yeah. Yeah, firefighters don't ask why they have to get that cat out of the tree.
So this is going to happen on Halloween, and she's like, "Can this wait till after Halloween?" And he says, "No.
There's a full moon that night. Come on."
So we follow her on her journey as she takes the train, and we get a little bit of exposition.
Got to eat up those pages.
She recounts some of her history, but after flying saucers and giant scorpions and little green men and great old ones and bouncing around between dimensions, well, now I wasn't laughing. Great. I wish he'd have more gusto.
Yeah, but it's like it almost fits with this art style that it's a little bit blah. This art really doesn't do the character any favors, I don't think. This feels very like late 90s Vertigo when we were trying to be too smart for like comic book art, and we got these like sort of blah, sort of just static looking comic stories. It feels kind of like that.
Yeah, this feels very like 1940s, like funny comics.
That too, yeah.
All right. So she meets with, I guess this is the Dean.
Dean Stewart.
Yeah. And we have more exposition dumping.
Got it.
And then we meet our first possible suspect.
Yes, Mr. Red Herring himself.
All the girls love Mr. Elliot, who teaches Poetry 101. Between the potency and the existence, between the essence and the descent, falls the shadow.
For thine is the kingdom, for thine is life is, for thine is thee. Is this real? Like, is this real poetry, or is he just like saying words?
Do you ever see Raiders of the Lost Ark where the one girl is sitting in the front row and she drew like "I love you" on her eyelids?
No, I haven't seen that. Oh wait, that's actually what he's reading there is something out of the Bible, is it? For thine is the kingdom and the power. Matthew 6:13. Is that can't be right?
Terrific. So wait, you've never seen Raiders of the Lost Ark?
No.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't see movies. You know that. Never seen an Indiana.
Yeah, but
I played the Indiana Jones Lego video games, but I've never seen the movies.
wow. I would have thought
Yeah.
even as a kid though you might have seen them.
No, I think like the only ones that broke through were the first three Star Warses and the Back to the Futures. Those actually found their way in, but
Okay.
Indiana Jones did not.
So Indiana Jones is also an archaeology professor,
Mm-hmm.
and he's at the college, and he's teaching a lesson, and there's a nice little blonde girl in the front row, and she wrote "I love you" on her eyelids, and she kept blinking at him, and he's distracted. And I wish they had done that with this panel.
Okay. This is let's see. This is actually T.S. Eliot, the poet. This is something out of something he wrote, I suppose. Between the potency and the existence, the desire and the spasm. So maybe this dude isn't named Eliot, or maybe he's actually the poet T.S. Eliot reading his own poetry.
Professor Bobby Astaire. That's who
There
it
he
is.
is.
Yeah, now we got it. All right, Bobby Astaire. He'd never loved them as much as he loved himself, Mr. Bobby Astaire.
What a dick.
This is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. This is the end of the world as we know it. Yes, it's sorry.
And I feel bored.
We're midway through this story, and she's just scoping this guy out. That's what all that's happened here.
Mm-hmm. Well, he is dreamy.
At that moment, all I could think was old T.S. Eliot didn't know about atomic bombs when he wrote that poem. Ugh.
You know, I'm looking at I was watching the old Beverly Hills 90210 with the wife a few weeks ago, and you remember when they were in high school and they had that English, the AP English teacher, Mr. Gil Myers came in, and he was like this supposedly handsome man. He had the beard and he looked like a real sex pervert, but I remember he got accused of molesting the kid who shot himself in the head's sister. David Silver's friend who shot himself in the head. His younger sister started going to West Beverly, and she accused this dude of, like, diddling her. And the way they told the kids about this was like, hey, do you know how Gil likes to flirt with all the girls? And they're all like, yeah. It's just funny to me that it was just common knowledge that this dude liked to kind of flirt with the students. But that's what this guy's reminding me of here.
I mean, really, why become a male college professor if you're not going to bang your students?
You're teaching the ethics class, right?
All right, so she's still scoping him out, and he's still surrounded by the girlies.
Of course.
And she follows him to a cabin.
And one of them
woods.
is very slack-jawed. It's pretty funny. She's like, duh.
Oh, it hurts to laugh. Ask anyone in this business, stakeouts are strictly Dullsville. But this time, I guess I wouldn't be waiting long, as Professor Astaire goes into a cabin.
That's
in
what
the
it
woods.
says on his mailbox. It says Prof. Astaire.
And then one of the co-eds shows up to have a dalliance with our Professor Astaire. Mm-hmm. Evelyn, what a pleasant surprise. No one's listening, Bobby. Ooh. You can drop the play acting. All right, now Bettie Page pulls her gun. She is ready for action. That takes a whole page.
It does. It really does.
All right, so she kicks in the door and she says, make like statues.
Yeah, see?
Yeah. What if it was like a Roman statue and the statue they made like was them like peeing?
That would be great.
Like make like a statue just for peeing up into the air. Those are fountain jokes, everybody. And Professor Astaire says, what the hell? And you see them getting their smooch on. There's a lot of red lipstick being thrown about.
Yeah, it's almost like even on her face, it looks like she's bleeding from the mouth.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like something that they do before they start making out. Maybe they have fantasies. I don't know.
So
we all have our fetishes.
Indeed. So he says, did Phyllis hire you? Phyllis, just who might that be? That would be his wife, honey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one to judge, but if you're going to play, always play it safe. And always assume there's a wife.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it's not Professor Astaire. He's not the werewolf.
Yeah, he's the red herring.
This goes on for several panels.
Yes, we have to actually sit and wait for the moon to come up. And we see the moon like at every phase of its rising here, and he does not change into a werewolf, so we're good.
All right, so she leaves them to their dalliance, and she goes back to the campus, and she runs into this woman. She says, "Oh, you're here. I was about to leave. The dean would like you to meet him in Pruitt Gardens. He says it's urgent." All right, so she had no other leads, by the way.
Zero.
This detective, this agent, she had no other possible idea who the werewolf might be.
She might as well just open the phone book and started with the first name in it.
Yeah. So she's essentially just wandering around the campus, and the plot found her. See?
It did. By accident.
Yeah. The plot was about to lead the book. But the plot was like, "Oh, you're here. Follow me. Let me take you to where the plot connects.
Take my hand." Yeah.
All right. So Pruitt Manor. The secretary had said it was an all-girl dormitory. Pretty nice digs for a bunch of bobby soxers, if you ask me. The whole setup made me feel a little bit like the second Mrs. De Winter, and I didn't like it. But if I was walking into danger, there was always the snub nose strapped to my leg. Ah, Miss Page, thanks for meeting me here. I imagine this seems a little unorthodox, but I have the story. But the story I have to tell you is in the strictest confidence. My lips are zipped and I'm all ears, Dean. What do you know, Joe? This college is a great institution of learning, Betty. Our origins go back to just after the Civil War. And those origins are forever tied to the Rhinebeck family.
The who now?
Yes, this is where we get yet another exposition dump.
It's nice when, like, we're, 7/8 through a story, and they keep giving us new characters. It makes you feel like you're getting your money's worth.
Yes, and more information.
Oh, way more information. Can barely fit the art in these panels.
In 1865, General Martinus Rhinebeck, his moral conscience shocked by the carnage he had seen, gifted the college 1,000 acres of land. He charged Annandale College with a sacred task, to educate fresh minds in the liberal arts, so that we might produce graduates of the depth and sensitivity, men who would see to it that such havoc might never again spread across the continent.
And Betty's baffled. She's like, "What are you telling me?"
And Betty speaks for the audience when she says, "I'm sorry, sir, but I don't see." Miss Page, there is a curse. A curse. That runs through the Rhinebeck bloodline in every generation. One member of the Rhinebeck family has suffered from the curse. The curse. The curse.
The curse.
In ages past, the rest of the clan would conspire to hide their affected kinsmen from the world on those moonlit nights. Aha, now we're getting somewhere.
Ooh, we're getting there.
When the curse would be upon him. They would lock him in the basement of this very place, Pruitt Manor. The college inner circle knew about it, of course, but so long as the cursed Rhinebeck remained chained up, there was nothing to fear. So your school had a pet werewolf, and you turned his cage into a girl's dormitory. That's either very bad planning or you don't understand. They told us Ichabod Rhinebeck, the last living...
Ichabod, come on. Jesus.
No relation to the Headless Horseman.
No, certainly not.
The last living Rhinebeck was deceased. They told us he had bequeathed Pruitt Manor to Annandale College in his last will and testament. We thought the nightmare was over, dead and buried. All right. So then Bettie Page grabs him by the arm, and she says, "It's going to be okay, Dean. You got tricked into setting out a buffet for a monster. But I'm in the monster hunting business. Just tell me where I can find him." "There's no need to find him, Miss Page. He's already here." And Pruitt turns into a werewolf. I mean,
Wait, no, it's the werewolf is a different guy who actually was polite enough to wait until he was introduced to leap into the panel.
is that what I thought?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I thought so too, but no, it's a different thing altogether.
Okay.
But it's a very polite beast.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
he,
it waits for its cue and then hops into panel. So that's
right,
a good thing.
So there he was waiting. Exit stage left.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Pruitt says his line already here, he jumps, "Grr, thriller night." And she says, "Jeepers." And now she shoots
Actually
the werewolf.
does. She actually says "jeepers."
Oh yeah, you're right. Pruitt's just kind of standing there looking depressed.
He kicks the gun out of her reach, and yeah, he's just kind of nonplussed.
So Betty says, "Pick up that gun and shoot this thing." And she hasn't worked out the fact that they're in league with one another.
Yeah, it's like he introduced him. You know, if this was pro wrestling, he would be the werewolf's manager.
I was gonna say he's Paul Heyman. He's like the undisputed, undefeated, unshaven,
boring ass werewolf. Yeah.
You still don't understand, Miss Page. The Rhinebeck family secret must remain a secret, no matter the sacrifice. Would it not have been easier to have killed her, like, somewhere else?
At any point in the past 400 pages, yes. They could have killed her.
Poison tea, something.
Something. She was
anyway.
waiting for the damn moon to rise for like 3 days at that cabin.
Yeah.
Burn the place down. Shit.
All right, so he kicks the gun away, and she's like, "Well, I'm not gonna let this thing eat me." So she, like a matador, she says, "Olay!" And the thing impales itself on a statue.
A Civil War statue, I think.
And the dean says, "No!" And then it drowns in the fountain.
Yep.
And he cradles it. "No, I'm so sorry." And there's more cradling.
Yeah, a lot of cradling here. A lot of cuddling and caressing.
And Bettie Page just leaves him there. Doesn't arrest him for attempted murder. Doesn't arrest him for unleashing a monster on a bunch of college students. She's just like, "All right, well, my work here is done."
And she doesn't even read anything off a slip of paper. She
No,
just walks away.
She casts no spells.
No spells this time.
And so she goes to a Halloween party.
That's it.
Now, the next day, he's arrested. So I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, and they carry away the corpse of the werewolf, and its little furry feet are sticking out from under the blanket, so that's pretty funny.
And that's it. That's the end of our story. And she makes her handler buy her a steak.
Yeah. So Betty is this like total legit agent here. If not for that statue conveniently holding a blade, how would she have evaded this werewolf?
I don't know. Like I said, maybe it would have tripped in another fountain.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there would have been another fountain that had a loaded musket in it, and it just would have went right into its mouth and pulled the trigger somehow. Yeah, this was fairly convenient.
I mean, I guess if you're doing a Halloween book, werewolves are a well-known enough Halloween
tropey
trope.
enough, sure.
Yeah, to that's a well to dig into. That's fine. I just wish that there'd been a little more mystery here, a little more detective work.
Yeah, maybe actually let her solve it, or at least, like we mentioned, she lost the plot here early. Everything that happened here was by pure chance, and that doesn't make for a good story. It just makes for a long line of coincidences and contrivances that I don't know, leaves me pretty unsatisfied.
Yeah, things just happen to Betty.
That's it.
Like a good detective story, you have to, you're piecing together disparate pieces of information and trying to put together a puzzle, and you're questioning people, and you're finding more clues, and you're digging into libraries, and you're examining things. I mean, this is one of my complaints about Batman is he's supposed to be the world's greatest detective, but a lot of people write him as just stuff happening to Batman.
Sure, yeah, and I think a good mystery story, we readers should be in on it. Like, we should be putting together clues as the character is, so we can feel like we're putting together the story too. But here it's just like, oh no, it wasn't that, it's this. Oh, okay. Well, I never would have guessed that, but okay.
And there should be some misdirects. I mean,
Sure.
you know, it's kind of a cliche, but like The Long Halloween's a really great mystery story, as is
Sure.
Dark Victory.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of misdirects. There's a lot of, you know, is it this person? Is it that person? There's clues.
Oh, everything builds on itself, yeah.
Right. Where this, like I said, she just sort of goes from panel to, like, if you took out all the exposition, this thing is 3 pages long.
If that. And that's one of them's a splash, the opening splash.
But you might be saying, Chris and Mark, it's Bettie Page. Why are you taking it so seriously? Well,
It's what we do. We're broadcast journalists, goddammit.
if you like silly and don't want to take things seriously, let's head over to Cineview Cinema, Hollywood, California, 1956.
Yeah, this is where they go to catch a fuck. I mean, a flick.
Yes. Bettie Page is on a date with her African-American Asian friend.
Yes.
And they're watching a sci-fi attack movie.
A War of the Worlds-ish sort of thing.
And within 2 or 3 panels, oh no, real aliens show up. Literally, within 2 or 3 panels, aliens show up. And they start shooting the parking lot, and cars are blowing up, and it's Pandalirium. They thought they'd be killed, or even worse.
Yep.
And and so our agent friend, who never gets a break, tries to clear out the parking lot and save the patrons. And Bettie Page is trying to lead people out of the movie theater to drive-in. And our agent friend, in like a Michael Bay film, like Will Smith, points her gun at the alien ship and says, "Hey, Martians, get bent."
Yeah.
She might have. This won't mean anything to you because you don't watch movies, but she might as well have said, "I was supposed to be at a barbecue."
I don't know what that means, but it's funny.
Will Smith, we love you. All right. So she starts shooting at the alien ship with her gun, her 6-shot.
Mm-hmm. Her 22. No. Might be, for all we know.
And the aliens shoot back at her.
As they do.
And she's a bit singed.
Yeah, she's burnt.
And then the aliens land. Not dead. She's just, messed up. All right. Now Betty's pissed. And she pushes up her sleeves and she says, "I'll show them what happens when they bust up my friend." And a family, they look like Skrulls.
They do.
But a family walks off the ship. And they look like they have snacks. And they have a little doggy.
They're suburban Skrulls.
And Bettie Page is able to figure out that they're just a regular family. And then then the alien dad turns on his universal translator and says, "Can you understand me now? Our scanner showed those vehicles were abandoned. They look like junkers." Junior wanted to watch the second film. He finds it very amusing. "We can easily repair any damage our craft caused. Honey, please move the car." We use this when Junior damages his own toys. And so they use the power that Superman had in Superman 4 to just fix things with his eyes.
They just push a button, yeah.
And everything is back to normal.
Yeah.
So essentially, this alien vessel came down to watch this science fiction double feature.
That's it. That's literally it.
And they all watch Bettie Page, her agent friend, and the alien family sit on top of the alien vessel and watch the science fiction double feature. Fred and Janet, Will. Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Nope.
All right.
I've heard of it. I know there are lips in the little poster for it, but never seen it.
All right, Chris. I will give you the final word here. The Bettie Page Halloween specials. What do you think?
Could you imagine paying $10 for this?
No.
I mean, for every sale this book made, they were stealing money. They should go to jail. No, it's not quite that bad. It's not quite that bad, but it's yeah, this is you have to be like a Bettie Page completionist or a Dynamite completionist to really get anything out of this. This is some very shallow storytelling. If you're reading all the other Bettie Page stuff and this stuff somehow slots into that, then I guess you're going to buy it anyway. But if you're just looking for like a fun Halloween story to read, you could do better.
This was the very definition of lighthearted fare.
Oh yeah.
I was amused while I read it, but it's whatever.
I was amused by how quickly I read it. Because when I started, I was like, "Oh boy," but yeah, no, it was a breezy read. It was inoffensive. It was just kind of dull, and I don't know. I guess there's an audience for this, but unfortunately, I'm not part of it.
Well, if you are into Bettie Page, if you've enjoyed our Halloween specials, and you're like, where can we get more Bettie Page? There's the 2018 Bettie Page series. There's the 2017 Bettie Page series. There's Bettie Page Unbound. There's a current Bettie Page 2020 series that's on its third issue. There's Bettie Page Comics Spicy Adventure. Ooh.
Oh boy, we might actually have to do that somewhere down the line.
Definitely. And then there's Bettie Page Queen of the Nile.
Wow, that sounds aggressively dull, doesn't it?
I will have to check all of these out at some point. All right. Despite my slurring of speech here and there, we made it through, Chris. How do you feel?
Oh, I feel fine. I feel good. I'm in that Halloween spirit now. Unfortunately, I'm on a diet, so all I'm eating is sugar-free candy, which kind of goes right through you. So it's not a pleasant experience from either end. But yeah, I'm ready for Halloween now. Unfortunately, I don't think we're allowed to celebrate it this year.
Yeah, I don't know what we're doing I know I'm going to be watching Alexander Usyk versus Derek Chisora on Halloween, but as far as actually celebrating Halloween, I have no idea what we're doing. I don't know what we're allowed to do. Like normally by this point we've gone to the Spirit Halloween store and we've gotten the kids their Halloween costumes. We haven't done that yet. It's been a year.
It sure in the hell has, hasn't it?
But all right, that's the end of our show. Tonight, myself and Jesse Starcher will do the second Yorn Heavy Rock Radio Executing the Classics album, and that'll be it for this week. Next week, Chris and I will be doing The Death of Hawkman. We'll also be doing WWE Hell in the Cell. Have you seen that The Fiend has himself a little girlfriend? The little fat juggalo has a girlfriend now?
He sure does. I've been trying to be a little bit more diligent, easy for me to say, in my Thunderdome viewing habits. So I did see that he's got himself a little chickie now, and seems like he's a babyface now because he was fighting the bad guys. So
I want to see vignettes of them like at Rydell High going steady.
Oh, that'd be great. That's a reference I actually get.
I want them at the sock hop. Just sharing a milkshake.
Oh, could you imagine them singing "You're the One That I Want"?
Oh my God!
The
Fiend and Roman Reigns are in like a race in their cars.
Oh Lord!
We're racing.
Grease lightning.
We're racing for pinks. Oos.
Recognize my grease lightning.
I'm going to be laughing at that all day. The Fiend drags Alexa Bliss onto the dance floor, and he was like, "You got to know the cameraman. Yeah, his name's Ted."
I was actually in a production of Grease when I was in the third grade.
Were you?
Yeah, I was. I was one of what the hell was the band that played at the crap? I can't remember the name of the band. No, the band that played at the prom or whatever, like Sunny something in the Comets or some stupid shit like that.
Okay.
I was the guitar player.
Oh, very nice
for that, and then I was also the understudy for Putsy one of the
Were you
T-Birds
really?
himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had an understudy day, so all of us losers could actually like do something, and I got to play Putsy, and I got to tape the word T-Birds on the back of my black jacket, so I could look like a real stud in the 3rd grade. So
Nice.
yeah.
I used to repeat a lot of the stuff that I saw in movies when I was a kid and without really knowing what I was saying. So I once told a babysitter, if I eat that, I'll smell like you.
What's that from?
That's a line from Grease.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
My go-to line from Grease is Sandy. That's about it.
Stranded at the drive-in. Boom. Branded a fool. Yeah, even taking out my wisdom teeth doesn't stop me from singing. What would they say Monday at school?
I really want to see The Fiend and Alexa Bliss in like a flying car now.
You're the one that I want. Oot, oot, oot. Let me in.
Yeah, that's going to get some play next week, I think.
All right. Speaking of comic book shows, we're going to do a comic strip on October 27th for The Empty Man. The movie comes out this Friday. Myself and Robert Winfrey will read the book. We'll see the movie, and we'll compare and contrast. Speaking of books that were turned into movies, The Witches got remade. It was made in the 80s. The Richard Dahl book, I believe the name is Richard Dahl, is the name of the author.
Roald Dahl?
Roald Dahl. And it was a popular movie in the 80s, and it got remade and is now on HBO Max with Hathaway. Anne Hathaway? Is that her name? Anyway, so we'll review The Witches on October 27th. That's 4 shows in 2 days. Can you believe that? And then we'll take a break, watch some Halloween Havoc, watch some Craft Legacy. And then we're back on Thursday, October 29th for Danzig Sings Elvis. And then finally, we'll review...
Does he do Blue Christmas?
I hope.
Boy.
And then on the 30th, we'll review the Craft Legacy, and we'll review NXT Halloween Havoc and all of Shotzi Blackheart's...
cringiness.
Yes, and her tank.
Yeah. Is Halloween Havoc a one-night thing, or is it a 2-night thing?
God help me, I hope it's only one night.
I don't know if this is like the Great American Bash where it was 2 weeks. I don't know.
There's only one date that was advertised.
Good. Okay, cool.
All right, that's all the stuff that I'm doing. Also, last night, Pat and I did our 11th chapter of the history of heavyweight boxing. We looked at the forgotten sons of the early 80s. Muhammad Ali retires for the first time for the last time. And we're looking for a hero, and there's none to be found until Mike Tyson shows up 6 years later. But in that 6-year interim, what a mess the heavyweight boxing scene was. Oh, my goodness, Chris. Everybody they put up, it was literally like well, this guy will save us. Nope, he gets beat immediately. How about this guy? Nope. How about Nope. And let me also say that crack is a hell of a drug.
I've heard good things.
So check out our chapter 11 in our series on heavyweight boxing, Forgotten Sons, the splintering of the heavyweight title between the WBA, the WBC, the IBF, and all of that. All right, what do you got going on?
Oh, stuff. You can find me at chrisandreggie.podbean.com and chrisisoninfiniteearth.com. If you wanted to find me, you probably already have. So there's that.
Damn it! I thought you were going to go longer. I took a drink. All right.
Oh no, I got jack shit. At least jack shit that anybody cares about.
All right, Chris, this was fun. The highlight of this episode is us doing The Fiend and Alexa Bliss as Danny Zuko and Sandy.
Zuko. Yeah. Sandy.
I'm going to be laughing at that all day. I hope you are too. In the meantime, join us next week for the Death of Hawkman. Until then, be well, be safe, and behave.
See ya.